Hey guys, so yesterday you were supposed to read chapter 10, The Shell and the Glasses, and I just want to kind of talk about a couple of really important points in that aspect of the novel because there's some big things happening in that chapter. So, you'll see that on page 159, right, Roger is coming up to Castle Rock, which is this like fortress that they've created, that where the other tribe is, right, Jack, the tribe led by Jack. Dennis is also excited about the analysis going on here. So he talks about how, he says, "You couldn't stop me if I wanted, couldn't I? Climb up and see." A log had been jammed into the topmost rock and another lever under that. Robert leaned lightly on the lever and the rock groaned. A full effort would send the rock thundering down the neck of land. Roger admired. Right, so already we're seeing how this tribe is much more about violence. The huts on the beach and those little shelters that they had at their original campsite with the original tribe was about survival. It was about rescue. And this seems to be a lot more about violence, about territory, about ownership of that property. Okay. And, you know, we also notice that the kind of difference between Jack and Ralph as a chief with talking about how he's going to beat Wilfred on the bottom of page 159. What for? Robert shook his head doubtfully. I don't know. He didn't say. He got angry and made us tie Wilfred up. He giggled excitedly. He's been tied up for hours, waiting. But didn't the chief say why? I never heard him. So again, there's this excitement about the violence that's going on. And also the fact that Jack is kind of a tyrant here at this point. We also notice they haven't said Jack's name at all during this portion. All they refer to him is as the chief, right? And then on page 160, when he is actually introduced, the chief was sitting there naked to the waist, his face blocked out in white and red. The tribe lay in a semicircle before him. The newly beaten and untied Wilfred was sniffing noisily in the background. Roger squatted with the rest. "Tomorrow," went on the chief, "we shall hunt again." He pointed at this savage and that with his spear. So the boys aren't being called boys. Jack isn't being called Jack. He's only referred to as the chief. The boys are referred to as savages to show that after the killing of Simon, there's a complete and utter change in how these characters see each other and themselves on this island. And they've gone from these innocent, you know, schoolboys to monsters, for lack of a better word. Okay. So they go and they steal the glasses from Piggy. So, right, you'll notice that the title of this chapter is called The Shell and the Glasses. So we know that we have two symbols that are really important, Piggy's glasses and the conch shell, both of which that are going to be changed. So we've already seen Piggy's glasses be broken, which is an important kind of change to that symbol, right? This was one of those other links to civilization that they had, and it's been broken. It still works, but it's not whole the way that it was, a lot of the same way that the boys are not whole the way that they were when they arrived on this island. And then the conch shell, we can see, is a symbol that is largely losing its power. In chapter 9 of View to the Death, when Ralph is saying, "I'll blow the conch shell," and Jack says, "We won't hear it." So, you know, this idea that this object, this shell that brought them unity, that brought them community, that brought them this sense of order and society in this chaotic jungle, all of a sudden doesn't work anymore. The boys can't hear its call. They can't respond to it because they become so savage. Okay. So they steal the glasses at the end of chapter 10. And there's this huge fight, and we find out that Ralph and I believe it's Eric. Yeah, Ralph and Eric end up fighting each other. They don't really realize that at the time, but we know like when they're describing the fight, Ralph says that he begins to pound the mouth below him. This is on page 167, using his clenched fist as a hammer. He hit more and more passionate hysteria as the face became slippery. A knee jerked up between his legs, and he fell sideways. So he gets hit in the balls, and it's very upsetting for him. And then afterward, Sam and Eric said, "I woke up. One was kicking me in the face. I got an awful bloody face, I think, Ralph. But I did do him in the end. What did you do?" "I got my knee up," said Eric with simple pride, "and I hit him in the pills. You should have heard him holler. He won't come back in a hurry either." So the only two people that Ralph and Eric end up hurting are each other. They just don't even know it. So we only have 2 chapters left in this novel, right? Chapter 11, Castle Rock, and chapter 12, Cry of the Hunters. So it's going to get much more violent and kind of crazy as it goes on. So hopefully you're keeping up with all that. So today you guys have 2 assignments. So you're going to be doing a little bit more creative writing like we did the other day. So with this one, I want you to pretend that you're one of the kids that got stuck on this island and you guys get bored and you decide to tell ghost stories. So about half a page, you know, you want to make it to about midway down on this, double spaced. And your ghost story has to be something to do with the island. Maybe it's that it's haunted by a ghost. Maybe it's that there's monsters. Maybe it's, whatever. But your ghost story has to deal with the island. And think of it as like a story that kids would tell each other around their fire. And then you're going to be answering the chapter 10 questions, those reading guide questions for the shell and the glasses. All right, guys. As always, contact me if you have any questions at all.